Good afternoon, boys and girls, Blackman Black Bears. I hope everybody's doing well this Monday afternoon. We're going to start a new book, new read aloud, Way of the Warrior Kid, where there's a will, there's a way. This is the third book in Jocko Willink's Warrior Kid series. Excellent books. Get the first ones. It's really about a kid, an average kid that had to work really hard to become better. And Mark, in the first book, started off as a wimpy kid, and his Uncle Jake came to visit during the summer and taught him all about hard work and good habits to make him a better person. The second book, Mark faced new challenges, challenges you may face, at school and in your life. So this book is kind of the same concepts. We're going to go ahead and get into it. And I'll add a link to Jocko's podcast for the Warrior Kid on my YouTube channel, so you can go and listen to some of the podcasts, and they'll talk more about the things that happened in those first two books. But we're going to go ahead and get after it. Way of the Warrior Kid 3, Where There's a Will, There's a Way, by Jocko Willink. This book is dedicated to the courageous frogmen of SEAL Team 3, Task Unit Bruiser, especially Mark, Mikey, Ryan, Chris, and Seth. We will never forget them. All right, Chapter 1. 7th grade has actually been pretty awesome, until today. With only 3 days left before summer vacation, things took a turn for the worse. I've stayed on the Warrior Kid path for almost 3 years now. I'm stronger and faster and do better in school than most other kids. And I have some pretty good friends. Kenny Williamson, who used to be a bully, now hangs around with me a bunch. So does Nathan James, a kid that I used to think was super annoying. Now we're all good friends. And they are all on the path of being warrior kids. Nathan started jiu-jitsu with me last summer. And at the beginning of this school year, Kenny started training jiu-jitsu too. We have all kinds of fun all the time, and these guys pretty much looked up to me. I was like a leader, just like my Uncle Jake told me I would be. I like being a leader, and I felt like I was a leader until today, because today was the day when Danny Reinhardt arrived at my school. First of all, who shows up at school with only 3 days left? I get that he just moved there, but still, it's just silly. Why would somebody do that? Anyway, he ended up coming into our homeroom with Mr. Oglethorpe. All right, and there's a picture of the new kid. All right, it says, never stop smiling. He has big wavy hair, big wavy hands, super nice clothes, and fancy sneakers. Now, Danny seems really nice when I first met him. He was all smiles and super polite to everyone, maybe a little too nice. He was actually pretty tall, too, maybe a couple inches taller than me. He ended up getting put at our table because Jennifer Gartson went with her parents to Minnesota for the summer and left school a few days early. And because he was only around for the last 3 days of school, Mr. Oglethorpe asked if Danny could just kind of stay with me for the day. So we finished homeroom and then went to math class. Because school was almost over, we were just doing some games in math. We had to see who could finish problems the quickest and who knew the most math facts. And even though Danny was new to the class, he did really well. Like, really well. He knew the answer to just about every question. His hand would shoot up every time the teacher asked any question at all. He said, since Danny has all the answers, we might as well go home. And of course, the teacher would call on him, probably because he was the new guy and the teacher was trying to be nice. And the whole time, Danny had this big smile on his face, a really big smile. A smile so big it was kind of annoying. Then when we went out to recess and Danny was with me, I figured it was time to see what Danny was really made of. So I took him over to the pull-up bar with Kenny and Nathan. We like to do pull-ups, I told Danny. Get some, Kenny. With that, Kenny jumped up on the bar and knocked out 14 straight pull-ups. That was pretty good and more than Kenny used to be able to do. Then Nathan hopped up on the bar and he rattled off 16 pull-ups in a row. That was impressive. Finally, it was my turn. I was pretty darn good at pull-ups, so I jumped up and knocked out a solid 26 pull-ups in a row. Not my best, but still decent, and a heck of a lot better than Nathan or Kenny. Nice, Kenny shouted when I finished. Strong work, Mark, Nathan added. I looked over at Danny. I thought he might be intimidated by all this, but he didn't look intimidated at all. Maybe that's because he didn't realize I was about to call him out and ask him to do pull-ups. I wanted him to see that even though he was good at math, there were other things in the world to be good at besides knowing math facts and how to figure out problems. Then he asked, "Do you mind if I give it a go?" That kind of surprised me, and he had a big smile on his face like he was going to enjoy it. "Sure," I told him, "go ahead." With that, Danny jumped up on the bar and immediately did a pull-up. Then another one, then another one, and then another and another and another. I was counting in my head when I got to 20. Nathan started counting aloud. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. That's more than you, Mark, Nathan shouted. But Danny didn't stop. He kept going and going, and finally got to 32 before he finally struggled on the last one, came up short and then dropped off the bar. 32, Kenny shouted. That's a new record. Awesome work, Danny. Isn't that awesome, Mark? Nathan added, looking at me. I didn't really know what to say. I hadn't even done my maximum number. I could have done a few more, but I didn't. And now my friends thought Danny was awesome. Yeah, I finally replied, awesome. It's no big deal, Danny said. I had a pull-up bar at my old house, so I did them a bunch. I'm sure you could have done a few more if you had to. Sheesh, why would he even say something like that? He had clearly beaten me, and now he was saying it wasn't a big deal? Maybe he was just trying to make me feel worse by making it seem like it was no big deal. What kind of pull-up workouts do you do, Nathan asked. But he wasn't asking me. He was asking Danny. Well, you know, Danny replied, just basic stuff. I jump up on the bar and do a bunch of pull-ups, then do that a bunch of times. It's nothing crazy. Nothing crazy? Here I had been working on pull-ups for 3 years and I still got beat. It was crazy. It was driving me crazy. That was when I realized that Danny was probably one of those people that was just naturally good at pull-ups. My Uncle Jake had told me about people like that, people that were just naturally good at something. So he probably didn't have to work hard at all. It was probably just easy for him. But there were other things I was sure I could beat Danny at. At least I thought there would be.